Good morning, students. Welcome back to Laser Technologies session again. So, in the last class, we have discussed about Einstein relation between Einstein A coefficient and the spontaneous lifetime. So, we solve this equation, the red equation for the spontaneous emission, and then we get this final equation n2 at time t is equals to n2 at time 0 and e power minus a21 t. So, where a21 is your spontaneous lifetime, so that is inverse of time. So to balance your exponential term, it has to be a inverse time units, so that is your actually a time component. So that tells you the spontaneous lifetime of the excited state. So now we have the Einstein relations, b12 equals to b21 and a21 by b21 equals to h cross omega cube n naught cube by pi square c cube. So what it describes, so from these equations you are able to get the properties of the atom. So that means mainly you can get the lifetimes of different materials of the exit state gives you different lifetimes. So from that you can understand the properties of the atoms or the materials. And also these relations will connect the absorption and emission. If you know one of the coefficient, you can derive the other one. So that means it allows to determine all the coefficients if you know any one of them. So now we see the rate of spontaneous emission over rate of stimulated emission. So that is nothing but your A21 by B21. So if you see in this equation number 10, your h cross is constant, your pi is constant, your c velocity of light is constant, your n naught is constant. So the only dependent term is your frequency of the light. Okay, so that means your A21 by B21 is proportional to frequency cube. So what it tells you, as the frequency increases, now if the frequency increases, the more dominating term will be A21, that is related to your spontaneous emission. Now if you consider your electromagnetic spectrum, so your electromagnetic spectrum ranges from 10 power 4 hertz to 10 power 20 hertz, that is the frequency. So from radio waves to gamma rays. Now if you see, as frequency is increasing from radio waves to gamma rays, so that means that as the frequency is increasing, your spontaneous emission is a dominating term. So what it tells you, the lasing at higher frequencies are much difficult compared to lower frequencies. So for example, if you want to develop a visible light laser, is much difficult compared to your microwave lasing action. So the first laser was invented in the microwave region. Okay, that is called MESA. MESER, MESA. So that means microwave amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Okay, so then over the time we have infrared lasers, visible, ultraviolet, and we can now able to generate X-rays also, the lasing actions. So this always easy. The lower side is always easy because our frequency is much lower, so that it's much easier compared to the higher frequencies. Okay, so now you have the relations, Einstein relations. So now I will talk about your rate equation for absorption and rate equation for the stimulated emission. Now we find out the rate of stimulated emission over rate of absorption. So previously we talked about stimulated emission versus spontaneous emission. Now we are going to talk about the rate of stimulated emission versus rate of absorption. So now if you take the ratio of these two, it gives you n2 by n1. I am dividing the equation 2 by equation 3 by equation 1. So that you will get n2 by n1, your u of omega gets cancelled and your b12 equals to b21 from your Einstein relations. So that also get cancelled. So there is a negative signature, but you can ignore those negative signatures as you have your population cannot be negative. So you can ignore that negative signature. Now you can see the different conditions. Now the first condition, your n2 by n1 is less than n1. Okay, the first condition I am discussing about. The population of the level 2 by population of the level 1 is less than 1. That means your n2 is less than your n1. So that means its absorption dominates. So that means you see your n2 is much lesser than n1. That means your n1 is much higher. That means this related to your absorption. So that means your absorption process dominates in this condition. Your n2 by n1 less than 1, your absorption is dominating. And the second condition, your n2 by n1 equals to 1. So that means your n2 equals to n1. So in this condition, it is the saturation condition. Okay, that we will discuss in the coming slides. So the next one, the n2 by n1 is greater than 1. So that means your n2 is greater than 1. So n2 is related to your spontaneous emission. The rate of your spontaneous emission is greater than your absorption. So that means your stimulated emission is dominating. In that cases, in the n2 by n1 case, you don't have any net gain. In this second case, the third case, n2 by n1 is greater than 1, you have a net gain. So now we will see what is net gain means. So when you have a stimulated emission, it's possible that you can have a lacing action. So now I am plotting a graph between the intensity versus frequency. So now this is my input intensity. The line I draw here is your input intensity is always constant. So now the first condition, your n2 by n1 is less than 1. Okay, so absorption dominates. Now you are giving the input intensity of this value. So the output intensity, what happens because of the absorption loss, your intensity decreases. So this way it's always your frequency, your absorption is much lesser than your input intensity. And the second condition, in your saturation condition, your n2 equals to n1. So that means the number of electrons or atoms absorbed at the same rate it de-excites. So that is your saturation condition. And third one, it's a due to the stimulated emission, you have a net gain. Now you see, this is your input intensity, but with this condition, you are able to get higher than the intensity. That means you are giving one photon, you are getting 2 photons, or if you are giving 2 photons, you are getting 4 photons out. So whatever you give, you are getting more than that. So that's why you are gaining it. So that way it's a gain. It's called a gain curve. So now your gain, you can see the gain curve. It's very sharp. That means it has certain frequency and it having some width associated with it. So that width we will discuss in the later session. Okay, so now if you see, you have a gain. So in this stimulated emission condition, you have a net gain. That means you amplified whatever the input being. So that's why you call laser light amplified by stimulated emission. Okay, so this is called your net gain. Then you have a lasing action. Okay, so now we have three conditions for to make your stimulated emission. So what our aim is to make a laser, right? So to make a laser, you need to have this condition to be satisfied. Now, so this is your absorption condition. You take a two-level system. So when you excite the electron or atom to exit state, so it always now when you send a many number of photons, because you initially your E1 is populated. So when you come in with the photons, there is a maximum chance that you it absorbs and go to exit state. So that is this is a condition which satisfies in this time. Okay, in this case, this is a condition satisfied because mostly your ground state is populated. So when the light incident on the electrons or interact with the electrons or the atoms, the only possible case can happen is absorption. Okay, so that is at the thermal equilibrium. What happens when you consider the electrons? So we already discussed that point. So whatever we are considering at the high temperature scales, so this Maxwell-Boltzmann equations will enough to satisfy. But still, you want to do at the low temperatures. In that case, you have to account the electrons. So then you introduce G1 for N1 and G2 for the N2. So the G1 and G2 are at static weights. That means that these are all when you have electron up and electron spin up and spin down. That means actually the state is same energy. That those states are called degenerate states. Okay, for the degenerate states, you introduce G1 and G2. So that means you have N1 G1 by G2. So these things you can introduce when you consider the electrons at low temperature conditions. Okay, so now the saturation condition. So now the rate of absorption is equals to rate of the spontaneous emission. So that gives you your saturation, either spontaneous emission or the stimulated emission. That means this always these two states populated equal. So this is the saturation condition, and third one is your stimulated emission condition. So that means your excited state is fully populated and your ground state is less population. That means it is not a convention. It is not a conventional. So this is called we inverted the population. Okay, so that means it's a population inversion. To make your lasing, you require a population inversion. So that means then you can see the lasing action. Now the question is it possible to get population inversion in a two-level system? Now, as I show here, if we are able to achieve this condition, that means you have number of excited atoms are higher than the number of atoms in the ground state. If you are able to achieve this condition, definitely you can expect you will get a lasing. Definitely you will get a lasing. But is it possible to get the population inversion two-level system? So your B12 refers to absorption process, and A12 refers to your spontaneous emission, and B21 is your stimulated emission process. So now you formulate the equation. So the rate equation, that means you are actually finding the number of excited atoms or electrons in the state E2. Okay, it contains N2 particles or then excited atoms. So that you are going to measure. So dN2 by dt is rate of change of the number of atoms in the state E2. So that means how it changes as many number of atoms are absorbed. That means your population will change in the E2 state. So that is the first one. Due to the absorption, the E2 population is changing. That you are accounting here. Your B12, it is your incident radiation also plays a role here, as we discussed in the previous classes, and total number of atoms in the ground state. So that is the first term, and the second term due to your spontaneous emission. Now if you see the number of atoms de-excites, because you are actually calculating over the time, in this time process some number of atoms will be de-excited, that we are accounting. So when is, because the negative signature, because the electrons are losing, the electrons or the atoms are losing by the state E2. And the third term is due to spontaneous stimulated emission. Due to the stimulated emission, you are losing the excited atoms in the E2 state. So that is, by stimulated emission, you have a your input intensity or your pumping triggering pulse and the population of the L2 state. So now this is overall equation for your state E2, the rate of change of number of atoms in that state. Okay, so now we know the condition, your V12 is nothing but V21, and I can call your V12 equals to V21 equals to V for a simplification, and I will call A21 coefficient equals to A. So now I substitute B and A, I will get dN2 by dt equals to B u of omega n1 minus A n2 minus Bu of omega n2. Okay, now I am taking common of Bu omega, then n1 minus n2, the first term, from this first term and last term I am taking common your B of u of omega, I am getting n1 minus n2 minus an2. So now at time t equals to 0 or at the thermal equilibrium, you can say your dN2 by dt equals to 0. From this you can calculate your N2, what is the number of atoms in the excited state. So I am taking out here N2, so A plus Bu of omega, so that equals to Bu of omega N1. So I am taking this and this component Bu of omega N2. So then I take N2 A plus Bu of omega. So then remaining factor, this whole will go to this side. Okay, so now, so this is your condition. Your N2 equals to Bu of omega N1. I am sending this factor to the denominator, that is equals to Bu of omega N1 by A plus Bu of omega. So at initial conditions, your total N1 is almost your total population. So I am replacing N1 with your, it's approximate, that's what I am writing approximately, it's N total. But your A always positive at any case, because at any case you always is spontaneous emission. When you excite to the excited state, you always certain portion having a spontaneous emission, so that always A is positive. So I am sending N total to this side. So now from this your N total is nothing but N1 plus N2. Because you have two states, the total population will be population of the state 1 and population of the state E2. So that is nothing but Bu of omega A plus Bu of omega. So now in this case your A is always positive. Okay, so whatever the condition you take the B, you able to always your total value less than or equals to 1 by 2. It's always, it happens that your N2 by N1 plus N2 is always much less than or equals to off. Okay, so now first case your N2 by N1 plus N2 equals to off. So now what happens, your N2 equals to you send this towards this side and this one this side, you will get 2N2 equals to N1 sorry So in this case, your 2n2 equals to n1 plus n2. So you 2n2 minus n2 equals to n1. So that means your n2 equals to n1. So that's what the final equation here. So your n2 by n1 equals to 1. So that is your saturation condition. So in the two level system, you will get saturation system in one case. The second case, your n2 by n1 plus n2 much less than of. So that means your n2 by n1 is always much less than 1. So this is your absorption condition. So that means your n2 is always much less than n1. So that way you always dominates your absorption process. Your n1 is higher, that means your n1 is related to your absorption process. So now in the two level system, you always have these situations. So now you tell me, is it possible to get the population inversion in a two level system?
No.
Yes. So you cannot get population inversion in the two level system.